Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to be doing 5.2 classification, which is learning about how scientists will classify plants and animals so that they can help identify them. So I'm just going to kind of be reading through this. I probably won't read all of it, but I'll just kind of read through and explain some of it, okay? So I would encourage you to read it on your own as well. So classification. Scientists have developed a system known as classification, a way to group things. And it shows relationships between living things that are alike in some ways. Classification requires us to look at similar characteristics in organisms. You can look at the outward appearance or look inside the animal. Outward appearances can include the texture, shape, size, and color of an animal. There are two large groups of living things on Earth: plants and animals. Think of some ways plants and animals are alike or different. How do you know if you're an animal or a plant? Are you a plant or are you an animal? How do you know that? So let's start with classifying plants. When classifying plants, you need to observe the shapes, quantity, which means how many, and size of the parts of the plant: the roots, the stem, the flowers, the leaves, the seeds, or fruit. So when you're classifying a plant, you really look at what does it look like? How many leaves are there? What shape are the leaf? What size is the bark? Does it produce fruit? What kind of fruit? Look at the photos of the aspen tree and the Utah juniper to compare. The Utah juniper to compare and contrast the characteristics of these two plants. So notice how this one I noticed right away. Let's see if I have my little laser. No, hold on. I like this thing. On this one here, it has like a tall, curvy, what is this called? Like tree stump. Oh my gosh. I can't remember what that's called. Yeah, this thing. And then this one does not have that thing. It's all covered in leaves all the way up. The branches kind of are clumpy on this one, and here they're spread out. We can't really see the leaves themselves very well, but I would assume that they look different as well. So that's kind of cool. Let's go to Utah juniper trees. When we compare plants, it is sometimes easier to use the different plant structures to compare plants. We can look at the leaves, for example, in the aspen tree and the juniper tree and compare them. The aspen tree has wide, flat leaves, while the juniper has small, waxy, scale-like leaves. So I was right. The leaves do look different. You just can't see them very well in the picture. Grouping animals. Have you ever wondered why a trout is known as a fish, yet a whale is known as a mammal? When we group similar things together, it is called classifying. I like that. When we group similar things together, it's called classifying. Some animals cannot be classified by outward appearance. Scientists must look inside the animal. So even though a whale and a trout look like each other, you have to look inside the animal to discover why one of them is a fish and the whale is a mammal like us. For example, the skeleton and the way the bones are joined are clues to classify or group the animals. A whale has many internal parts that are the same as other mammals. Even though whales live in the ocean, they look more like mammals on the inside than they look like a trout. I like that too. That really tells us why a whale would be considered a mammal. It has to do with what's on the inside of it. Scientists must look inside animals to classify them into groups. Most animals can be divided into two main groups: vertebrates, or an animal with a backbone, and invertebrates, an animal without a backbone. So think of your back. Does it have bones in it? We have a backbone. The backbone supports the whole body. Examples of animals that are vertebrates are humans, fish, horses, snakes, and whales. Animals that do not have a backbone are called invertebrates. Some invertebrates have a hard outer shell, such as crabs, crayfish, snails, insects, and spiders. Gross. The shell protects and supports their body. So you think of a snail, it doesn't really have like a back or a backbone, but it is protected by a shell. So it's kind of interesting. The shell protects and supports their bodies. A worm is an invertebrate that does not have any bones or a shell for its body. So because it doesn't have any backbone, it's considered an invertebrate. We can classify animals into two more groups, cold-blooded and warm-blooded animals. A cold-blooded animal's body temperature will change with the temperature of its surroundings. A snake's body temperature could get as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit at night because the night air is 40 degrees. In the morning when the sun comes out, a snake will move to an open space and warm its body with the sunlight. This will make the snake's body temperature rise as the temperature in the air rises. So, for example, cold-blooded animals, they cannot control their own body temperature. They have to rely on the air outside. So if they're feeling cold, they need to move to the sun to warm up. If they're feeling too hot, they need to move to the shade. Whereas warm-blooded animals like us will maintain the same body temperature no matter what temperature surrounds their bodies. Your normal body temperature is about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It does not drop very low or go extremely high no matter what the temperature is outside. Using characteristics such as the presence of a backbone and whether an organism is warm or cold-blooded has led scientists to develop animal groups. Most of the animals you know about are birds, mammals, insects, fish, reptiles, amphibians, and spiders. So we're going to be learning about those different things today. I did end up reading the whole passage. It was just so interesting. So remember, you learned about classifying animals and plants. You look at the different inside and outside, and that's to help you identify them. And then we also learned about invertebrates without a backbone and vertebrates with a backbone. And then we learned about cold-blooded, which is animals that cannot control their body temperature. They have to go into the sun or into the shade. And warm-blooded, which is like us, where we just have regular body temperature all the time. Hope you have a great day of learning. Bye.